This is my last evening in Nauvoo for summer 2018. Tomorrow I will be driving back to Ohio. So I've been cleaning and packing in anticipation of that trip. But before I leave, I wanted to make one more video. The other videos that I have been making while I've been in Nauvoo have been for the children in my congregation, but this one is intended for the adults. I'll also be posting this to the Latter-day Seekers Facebook page, so I'm speaking with that audience in mind as well. I like to be in Nauvoo for a couple of reasons. One is that it is the site of origin for aspects of my LDS upbringing that are important still to me. Of course, it's also a site that's important in the early life of Joseph Smith III, who became the first president and prophet of the reorganization, the wing of the Latter-day Saint movement where I now make my home. So I like to be in a place where I can connect with both of those aspects of my religious identity. Nauvoo is a very problematic place. The Saints came here after experiencing drastic setbacks in Missouri, where they had been trying to build communities, but that experience ended in violent persecution and expulsion. So they came here and started over. And they accomplished some impressive things here. At the same time, their ambitions proved overly optimistic. They did not lay a sustainable economic foundation for this community. They made poor decisions in their dealings with outsiders. Some church leaders made extremely poor decisions, which resulted in some church members feeling very betrayed, which resulted in conflict in the community, ultimately the breakup of the community. And the experience of the Saints in Nauvoo ended much like the experience in Missouri, with violent expulsion. So in that sense, I guess you could say that the Nauvoo story is a story of impressive accomplishments, but also very serious setbacks, and perhaps you could read it as failure. And maybe I am a glass half empty kind of guy, but it seems to me that the entire history of Community of Christ could be described that way. We as a people have accomplished some very impressive things. At the same time, our history is full of examples of ambitions that, in retrospect, proved overly optimistic, or people beginning projects that proved not to be financially sustainable, or leaders making unwise decisions, cases of conflict and division, people leaving, people feeling betrayed, people becoming demoralized. I worship in a community that is in drastic decline from what it once was. Metaphorically speaking, my congregation is Nauvoo. What you see when you visit Nauvoo today is a mere shadow of what this community used to be, and that is true of my congregation as well. But if the story of Nauvoo is a story of setbacks, and if the whole history of Community of Christ, in my pessimistic view, is a story of setbacks, it is also a story of people who go on despite those setbacks, who start over, who keep trying to build sacred community, who keep working to carry out Christ's mission as they understand it. Bunda Chibwe, a member of the Council of the 12 from Zambia, has described himself as a prisoner of hope, by which he means he cannot help but hope. And he says that as someone who is focused very much on the challenges, to put it mildly, faced by members of Community of Christ in Africa. People who are dealing with tremendous poverty, people who have lived through civil wars, who are dealing with the devastation wrought by HIV/AIDS. And despite all that, Bunda Chibwe says, he is a prisoner of hope. I am not a prisoner of hope. I move in and out of hope too easily to be called a prisoner of hope. I may be more like a recurring house guest of hope. But being in Nauvoo helps me to find my way back into hope. Being in Nauvoo reminds me that we are a people who, throughout our history, have experienced setbacks. But we are also a community who keep going, who keep trying, who keep working to carry out Christ's mission as best we can. Being in Nauvoo helps me to remember that and I'm grateful the Community of Christ makes it possible for me to be here.